To keep us safe.
Not to see, well, kind of, yeah. To look at the stars, good. And to remind ourselves that God made a promise to the children of Israel that their descendants would be as many as the stars of the sky. And God was true to his promise. He really was. And also, why else do we have branches for the roof? When did they live in houses with roofs like this? Yeah.
Because they didn't have bricks.
They didn't have houses when they were in the wilderness, right? For 40 years.
They didn't have bricks, and they didn't have stuff to put the bricks together.
That's right.
Wait,
so while they were in the wilderness, God still provided for them, right? And so we remember during Sukkot that God is the one who takes care of us. It's not our houses that protect us, right? Even though the roof is over our head, it's really not that protects us. It's God that protects us. And our dependence should not be on our houses or on our things, because what if there was an earthquake or this would all fall over, right? So then this thing wouldn't protect us anymore. So it's really God that protects us all the time and takes care of us everywhere we go. Okay, so I have a little story. We also want to remember, what do we do during this time? During this season, what are we supposed to be doing? Yeah. Praying. And what?
Before you eat, you pray, and then you thank God for your food.
We want to be thankful, right? For all the ways that God has blessed us and taken care of us. Yeah.
You want to have something to say before you raise your hand.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to read you a little story, and this story is called The House on the Roof. All right?
Roman.
So, here it goes. One day, the old man from apartment 3... Okay, listen. Shh, darling. Listen, don't talk. Okay? One day, the old man from apartment 3D dragged a heavy wood crate up the front steps of the building. "Don't scratch the paint with that junk," the owner of the building yelled. "I don't have the halls painted so you can scratch the paint right off." The next day, the old man collected acorns and autumn leaves, and when he brought them into the building, the owner yelled from her window, "Don't drop anything. If someone falls and gets hurt, I'll be the one that has to pay for that." Well, for more than a week inside his small apartment, the old man hammered and sewed and polished. He collected old magazines, and the owner yelled, "Junk and more junk. Most people throw it out, but you collect it." The old man collected more crates and old clothes and empty bottles and even broken branches. He brought everything into the building, and each time he walked up the front steps, the owner yelled. Then one evening, just before sunset, the old man left the building. He was wearing his suit and his derby hat. The owner sat by her window and watched. About an hour later, he returned, and he was talking and laughing. His grandchildren were with him, and they were talking and laughing too, and they followed the old man up the front steps and into the building. The owner followed them. They walked up 3 flights of stairs, past the old man's apartment, and onto the roof. And in the corner of the roof, there was a small hut. The walls were made of wood crates, the roof of broken branches. Inside was a small table covered with a patchwork cloth. The cloth was made from torn clothes. Candles burned in candlesticks. The candlesticks were made from old bottles. Chains of acorns and autumn leaves hung from the roof. On the walls were pictures from old magazines, and on the table there was soda and cake and cookies. "Wow, beautiful," the children said. "This is the most beautiful sukkah." The old man smiled. The old man sat there, and the children drank soda, and they all ate cake and cookies. A few days later, the owner of the building brought the old man to court, and he said, "It's my building and my roof," she told the judge. "Well," the judge asked the old man, "what do you have to say?" The old man said, "Your Honor, thousands of years ago, my people were slaves in Egypt, and when they escaped to the desert, they had no time to build homes. As they traveled, they built temporary huts. Each autumn, we celebrate the holiday of Sukkot by building and living in huts just like theirs. That's what I did. Now, in only 4 days, the holiday will be over. I would like so much to keep my sukkah for just that long." The judge thought, and then he turned to the owner and he said, "You're right. It's your building. No one should be allowed to build on your roof without your permission." Then the judge said to the old man, "I'll give you just 10 days to take your sukkah down." The judge smiled. 10 days, the old man thought. Then he smiled too. Because how many days do we keep it up?
4, 5,
No.
6.
How many days since last week?
7.
7 days in the week, right? And so God said to keep it up for 7 days. So it was okay to take it down in 10 more days because it was going to be all over with by then. So the judge was a very smart man. Well, so we come to the very last night of Sukkot, and this is a different holiday, and I want to tell you just a little bit about this holiday. And this one is called Simcha Torah.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
Now, can you say that? Simcha?
Torah.
Now say, repeat after me. Simcha
Simcha
Torah.
Torah.
So Simcha means celebration or party or rejoicing. And Torah, what is the Torah? Yes?
The Jewish Bible.
What's that?
The Jewish Bible.
Well, it's not just the Jewish Bible. It's the same Bible that we read, but it's not the whole Bible. It's
New
the
Testament.
first... No, it's the first 5 books of the Bible. Now, who can tell me what the first book of the Bible is? Yes?
Jesus.
No, not Jesus. Good guess. Genesis. What's after Genesis?
God.
Yes? Exodus. What's after Exodus?
Numbers.
Yes?
Leviticus.
What's after Leviticus?
Numbers.
Numbers. Good. And what's after Numbers?
I don't know.
Deuteronomy. Right? And so every year, Oh, first of all, who can tell me what's important about the first 5 books of the Bible? What does Genesis tell us about?
About
Does
God
anybody
and
know?
Jesus.
Yeah.
How important is God?
How important is God, but what's the story in the first book of Genesis? In the beginning, what did God do? Yeah.
Help
He
us.
created the earth.
Huh?
He created the
He
earth.
created the heavens and the earth, right? And Genesis tells us about the whole beginning of the world, right?
Genesis.
And Exodus, what does Exodus tell us about? Exodus tells us about when the children of Israel were slaves in the desert and they had to wander for 40 years. That's the whole story of the Exodus. And then Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy, those are just a lot of instructions that God gave us about how to live out His Word. And so those first 5 books of the Bible are very important. And so I want to show you the Torah scroll here. You've all seen it here. But we have right here, this is actually, now if I'm not going to take the cover off, but if I took the cover off here, there's a scroll, okay? And we would undo the whole scroll, and the first 5 books of the Bible are written on a scroll. What?
Write our names.
No.
That's enough, guys.
Yeah. So in here, if I was to unroll it, the entire first 5 books of the Bible are written in Hebrew on this scroll, okay? And the reason I have this pointer, is because some people believe that the Bible is so holy and so important, and God's words are so holy and we're not holy, that we shouldn't even touch it with our hands. And so they have a pointer so that when they read it, they don't actually touch the paper with their hands. They touch with the end of the scrolls, and they follow it with the pointer, so that we never touch it. We never make... Even when I was little, my mother always, if I had my Bible, she would never let me put something on top of it. Like if I had a stack of books, the Bible would always have to be on the top. You can never put another book on top of the Bible. Okay?
God is more important.
Because God's Word is important, and that's the reason for that, and that's the reason why that we honor this. Now, so this is the scroll. This is the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. Now, in the synagogue, okay, what happens is, every week, they read a portion of the Torah. And how many weeks are there in a year? Somebody know?
7.
No? Yeah? 52. 52. You were close. So there's 52 weeks in the year, and so what they do is they divide up the whole Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, into segments so that every week they can read a part of it, and in 1 year they read the whole thing out loud in the synagogue. Okay? So on tonight... On Simcha Torah, the celebration of the Torah, the celebration of the Bible, we come to the end. And tonight, they read the last part. What's the last book of the first 5? What is it? Deuteronomy. And tonight, they read the last chapter, and then they read the first chapter of Genesis. So they start over again for the next year. And the celebration is not that it's over with. The celebration is that we're starting again. And the Bible never ends. Every time you read the Bible, something new happens, because the Bible's not just a story. It's not just a book that was written by somebody a long time ago. It's God's Word, and it's alive. And every time we read it, and every time we hear something in it, something new. Okay? So that means someone who's old like me, that maybe has read the Bible maybe 5 times or 10 times, or say somebody read the Bible 50 times. Every time they read it, they hear something new because it's alive. It's God's Word, right? It's not just old words. It's new and fresh every time we read it. Okay? So tonight, I think what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and read the last chapter of Deuteronomy. So somebody want to come help me read? Okay? Whoever wants to come read, come stand up here next to me.